what we're going to do now is we're going to talk about cancellation. And cancellation is the process of actually reducing a fraction when you're doing multiplication. Before you actually multiply the fractions, we actually reduce them first. And it does help to save a lot of time when you reduce the fraction first before you actually multiply it straight across. Now, I did have some people in the classroom here who actually did multiply them straight across there, and as they multiplied, they found out 2 times 9 is 18, and then 3 times 14. Did anybody do that one? What was 3 times 14 on that one? Yes. Did anybody do that? 3 times 14? Yes. Over 42 is 18 over 42, and they did it like that, 18 over 42, which was 3 times 14 is 42. And yeah, so that actually would take us into actually having to do 3 times 14. You would have had to write it like this, and then you would have had to, you would have to write it like this, and then multiply 14 times 3, and then 3 times 4 would have been 2, and 3 times 3 would have been that. 3 plus the 1 would have been 42. So the answer would have been 42, of course. And so we did not want to do that way because that kind of took us into a little bit longer way of doing it. So what we want to do is we want to make it as simple and easy as possible to do these simplifying these fractions. So the best way to do it is what we call cancellation, or cancellation, again, is canceling the fraction before we actually do the multiplying. How do we cancel? Well, what do? We need to look for the greatest common factor between the numerator and the denominator. We want to look at the greatest common factor. So guys, I want you to pay attention to this because this really helps you. The 2 and the 14 have the same number in common, which is the greatest common factor between the 2 and the 14 here is the number what? Yeah.
7.
Yeah, well, did you see a 7 here? No. The greatest common factor between these two numbers here is the number 2. It could only be the number 2 because there's no 7 in 2. So, yeah, somebody's thinking ahead and saying that, okay, if I put 2 in the 7, 2 in the 14, that would be 7. But we don't want to do that first. But we want to look at what is the greatest common factor between these two numbers. The greatest common factor between the number 2 and the number 14 is the number 2 itself. Now, if you need to look up greatest common factor, I have greatest common factor online for you to look up, and you can kind of look it up and then see that what is the greatest common factor. The greatest common factor would be 2. So how many 2's are in 2? 1, right? So I'm going to scratch 2 out, and I'm going to put 1 right beside it. And then how many 2's are in the number 14? 7. Somebody already said that, right, Ray? Okay, so you said that, so there's going to be 7. So now we know that the greatest common factor is 2, and there's 1, 2, and 2, and 7 2's in 14. Now, I need to look for the greatest common factor between the 9 and the 3. And we always look at crossing between the denominator and the numerator in the next number and the denominator in the number that's before it. So anyway, we have these two numbers here. We're going to compare what is the greatest common factor. Obviously, what is it, Faith? 3, right. It would be 3 because 3, you can't get no larger than 3. And 3 would be in the number 3 one time, and 3 would be in this number 9 how many times? How many 3's are in 9? Yes, go ahead, Brianna. 3, yeah, there are 3 3's and 9. So I'm going to cross this out and I'm going to make this a 3. Now I have 2 different numbers here which are equivalent fractions, and these equivalent fractions here can be multiplied times one another. And so if I were to rewrite it, just to rewrite it, it would be 1 over 1 times 3 over 7. But wait a minute. 1 times 3 is 3, and 1 times 7 is 7. So really, when we canceled it, we actually got to the root of the fraction, didn't we? The fraction here, the new fraction, was 3 over 7 anyway. So our answer is 3 over 7. Okay? I got a few more to do down here, and it's down here, and I'm kind of covering them up. I hope they can be seen on this board. Yes, what do we have?
That's what I came up with.
Hmm?
That's what I came up with.
Oh, that's what you showed Ray? Great, okay. So, Ray, you ought to feel fortunate. You had a good tutor. All right, here's what we have here. We got 4 over 5 and 15 over 16. We can do the same thing with this, can't we? Can't we, Jose? Yes, Jose. Okay, so we can also use Jose's name as yes to yes, Jose. Not no way, Jose. Okay, so anyway, so we're looking at the difference between, well, we're actually looking at the greatest common factor between the numerator and the denominator here, right? What is the greatest common factor here? Titus, what do you think it is? I want to see if you're even thinking about this. What is the greatest common factor between the 4 and the 16? What number is in both these numbers here? And the greatest one, the largest number?
4?
4, yeah, 4. Thank you. 4 times, there's 1 4 and 4, and there are 4 4s in the number 16. So we got 1 and 4 here. So what is the greatest common factor between these two numbers here? Go ahead, Cajun. I'm sorry. 5, right. And how many 5s?
1.
1 5 here, and how many 5s here?
3.
3 5s here. So now we have something here. We cancel this number out, and so obviously we don't need to even take this and bring this over because 1 times anything is going to be itself. So what is the number we're left with? Yes. 3 over 3 over 4. Correct. You see how easy that made? Cancellation made that a lot easier than actually multiplying it straight across and then having to reduce it later. We reduce it first, and then we just really are left with the answer here. I want you to go over these answers, and I want you to do these on your own. I'm going to turn the camera off, and you guys can kind of do this on your own. I'll tell you what. I'm just going to leave you these two. These two. Write these two down, and then these I'm going to do. Let's have somebody come up and do it real fast. Come on, quick. Whoever, come on. Whichever one. Breon, come on, Breon, real fast. All right, do that one. Yeah. Cancel that out. What? How many? You're looking at this number, 3 and this 3. How many 3s in each one? 1. Put it up there. Cancel that one out. Yes. And how many 3s are there? 1. Put you 1 there beside it. Yeah. Okay. Now, how many 4s do you have here? I mean, what's the greatest common factor between these two numbers? 2. Okay. So how many 2s?
2.
Okay. Cancel out. Put 2. And how many there?
1.
Okay. Cancel out. Put 1. Okay. So what are you left with?
Well, no, 1 over 2.
Right in over there. Okay, guys, give Brianna a hand. Thanks a lot.